video, we focus on the timing of the Hefsek Taharah. If you want to learn more about how to do the Hefsek, check out our articles and videos on the Hefsek and Bedikot. The Hefsek Taharah is a critical step in the process of getting to mikveh. For the clean days to start, we need to establish halachically that the need of bleeding has stopped, and the Hefsek Taharah does this. Even if you think that you're no longer bleeding, you need a Hefsek Taharah in order for the clean days to start. The 7 clean days have to be complete days, and halachic days start at sunset. So you need to do your Hefsek before sunset to show that the need of bleeding has stopped before day 1 starts. So when's the right time to do a Hefsek? The best time is in the late afternoon, between Mincha Ketana and sunset. Since Mincha Ketana varies over the course of the year, it's best to look up the times in a Zmanim calendar or in an app. It's also safe to assume that the last 2 hours before sunset are a good time to do a Hefsek. There's a halachic preference for the Hefsek to be closer to sunset, but it's best not to wait till the last minute. First of all, you might forget, or something might come up to prevent you from doing your bedika. Second of all, it's customary to wash the vaginal area before the Hefsek, and it's best to leave a few minutes between washing and doing your bedika, both for your own comfort and because it's halachically preferable to wait a few minutes after washing. Also, in case your first attempt at a Hefsek is a questionable color, it makes sense to leave enough time to comfortably try a few bedikot, including a pause in between. Waiting a few minutes or more in between bedikot avoids dryness and irritation and allows time for your natural secretions to return. It's also halachically preferable to have a few minutes or more between each bedika. On the other hand, if time is short, and especially if sunset is approaching, there's no need to wait between bedikot. As long as the last Hefsek before sunset has no nida color, it's valid. If you're not sure about the color, you can always consult a halachic authority. What happens if you missed sunset? If you have to do a Hefsek and you're not sure when sunset is, do a Hefsek immediately and check the timing later. If you missed sunset, but only by a few minutes, it's worthwhile to ask a halachic question, especially if there are pressing or unusual circumstances. If you missed sunset by more than a few minutes, you'll have to repeat the Hefsek the next day, and your 7 clean days will start the following day. Since it's possible you may not get to your Hefsek in the late afternoon, for whatever reason, try doing a bedika earlier in the day, assuming that the bleeding has stopped. This can be a backup Hefsek, just in case. You should still do your Hefsek in the late afternoon, but in case you forget, the backup Hefsek is valid, and you can still start your clean days that night. What about the moch dachuk? The moch is an additional check to confirm that bleeding has not resumed between sunset and nightfall. That interval of time is called bein hashmashot, and it's the only time that a moch is relevant. If you won't have access to a private room where you can insert the moch just before sunset and remove it just after nightfall, you may need to skip it. In most cases, if your Hefsek was good, you can start your 7 clean days that evening even without a moch. Before we forget, we recommend putting reminders into your phone so that you remember to do the Hefsek on time. We hope this is helpful, and please remember, we're always here for any questions.